Neeb is playing really well. He's getting advantages. He's actually getting into really good spots. And then something happens where he misreads like one or two things in the game, and then it's just like, oh, Neeb lost, and oh, Neeb lost again, and oh, Neeb's out of the tournament. Like, I feel like that's been a lot of his runs, so I'm looking forward to seeing this man down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map to show up in this series, the blue Protoss player from PartinG Esports. He is Neeb.
And that obviously means that in the top left side of Death Aura, we're taking a look at the main base of the man who's also 0-1 in this group so far, a previous world champion of StarCraft 2, hailing from Korea. It's PartinG.
Now, Kev, I just want to say that something a Zombie Garb was actually talking about, Neeb is actually the player that doesn't play on the NA server very much, and PartinG is the one that actually does. But I do actually think, despite that, I feel like Neeb has actually shown in PvP, he has some really well-developed defenses against like the NA Protoss memes in PvP. I know that I've seen like a lot of Neeb versus like Nina games from Challenger and all kinds of things where Neeb is getting cannon rushed or proxied, and I actually feel like he has really been able to develop like the proper NA defense against a lot of those PvP shenanigans.
Yep, honestly, I'm a bit of a fan of Neeb's PvP. I feel like he has impressed me many times over the last few years, especially his very late game. It just seems that Neeb knows when to transition into disruptors, sometimes even into carriers, and sometimes it's about Tempest, because carriers are really good if your opponent doesn't have Tempest, but if you do get Tempest, Neeb is an expert in that phase in the game. I just don't know if PartinG really wants to let things go that far, right? We know when it comes to strategy, maybe Neeb even has a small upper hand here, but when it comes to micro and aggression, that obviously screams PartinG, so that should make for a pretty fun best of 3.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with exactly that kind of way of putting it. PartinG is going to be the super in-your-face guy, and that's sort of been his, you know, his name or claim to fame for a long time, right? Even in 2012 when we were talking about, he won the, what was it? It was just called the WCS Global Finals at the time, right?
BWI.
Oh, yeah.
Is it? Yeah, right?
Oh, yeah, that's true. I forgot the acronym for that. But yeah, even then, it was like, it was off the back of his micro, right? The Immortal Sentry All-In, the Soul Train. No one else's Immortal Sentry All-Ins could win, but PartinG's could because he just had more soul in it.
Ooh, he got very close there with his probe, Neeb that is, and potentially scouting the Stargate that was going down in the main base of PartinG. Would have been a big scout. Unfortunately for Neeb, he did not get the confirmation there is a Stargate. Now, obviously, both players opening up with 2 gateways. This is very standard, but PartinG did it on the low ground. That is a bit tricky, because on one end, that is like, hey man, I really want to expand early, but sometimes they don't expand. We actually saw Trap trying to do that against Zest. That didn't really work out, because Zest was just like, I don't know, I guess you are expanding, so I'm gonna attack you. And Trap is like, no, I'm not expanding. Like, why are you attacking me? I was gonna attack you, and you're supposed to expand. And Zest is like, well, bad luck. It does seem that Neeb is just expanding, and PartinG is actually expanding as well. So even though we're taking a different route of where we are supposed to go, it all kind of comes down to the same thing. The only big difference is that obviously PartinG has invested in the Stargate and is opening up with Oracles.
Yeah, and Neeb did go for a double stalker into double sentry follow-up over here, so he's going to have those quick hallucinations to try and get some scouting around the map, but the first Oracle has already popped out, and we're seeing another sentry warped in over here. This can get a little bit dicey, but he does spot out that Oracle. I was going to say, the positioning of your stalkers and dealing with that first Oracle can be really important if you are going for so many sentries.
Move? Yeah, well, he needs to move his units right about now, Neeb. You're really on the clock. All right, there are the 2 stalkers just in time. As at Oracle, you can see the shadow in the top side of our screen showing up in the main base. Calculated indeed. A little too close for comfort, but this is actually a really good start for Neeb. That's some decent hull damage. And obviously on your Oracles, you don't want to lose any actual HP. You only want to lose shields.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are able to pick off one of those Oracles, so the second Oracle just isn't as scary then. And oh my god, Neeb is actually going to be looking around for these Oracles. He finds one of them. The Oracle is going to try and dive on a Stalker.
This is really good for Neeb, man. This is all just really good for Neeb. These, okay, one Stalker does go down, but look at the amount of damage on both Oracles. I would absolutely be okay with losing just a single Stalker while dealing this much damage, and also getting the heads up that 2 Adepts are about to shade into your natural. You know, what's also funny, by the way, is that Neeb is the one who didn't have a shield battery in his main base, but didn't really take that much damage. And then PartinG, who didn't need a shield battery, actually did build a shield battery in his main base. I'd say overall, good start for Neeb, but it is really important to be wary of what's coming next. And we can see PartinG already building a gateway on the other side of the map. He's going for it, Ravi. He's going to absolutely send it. He wants to kill Neeb in the next 2 minutes. Why didn't we just activate a Guardian Shield in the natural?
That might have been a mistake right there. He may have meant to just like select his sentries to force field or something, because the Adepts didn't shape fully up that ramp, but yeah, that's going to be a bit unfortunate. Regardless, he's still going to have enough energy for additional Guardian Shields later on, I think.
Neeb needs units. I'm a little bit confused about the timing of the forge of PartinG, right? Because if we're building a gateway on the other side of the map, that kind of screams aggression. He also didn't rush up to 3 bases, even though he had the freedom to do so. And it's
just Adepts. It's just like an Adept gateway. Like, it's not actually going to be a big committed attack.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he does want to expand, but this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, because PartinG could have expanded earlier, and he also has 2 pylons near that gateway, so that's honestly very important. I think it's one of these attacks where if I can kill you, that's awesome, and if I cannot, well, then I still have a plan B. But Neeb is actually the one moving 4 Stalkers out. He could bring back the good old 4 Stalker hit squad. This game is about to be wild, because Neeb doesn't know what's happening, and PartinG doesn't know that Neeb has 4 Stalkers in his natural. Fear Dragon, I don't know what's happening, but I think it's good for Neeb, because Neeb is supposed to find units here, and since he doesn't see any units, he should know that he's about to be attacked.
Yeah, we see the Stalkers already moving on forward over here for PartinG, catching a lot of Neeb Stalkers off guard. Guardian Shield does get popped. The shield battery not going to be finished up over here in time, though. So probes are being pulled off the line, but we start to see that Neeb is starting to falter. I think those might have been recalled Stalkers from that natural expansion. The Oracle's coming at the same time. PartinG dealing out a lot of damage right now.
Yep, obviously took a lot of damage at home too. I feel that PartinG still needs a little bit more. Let's not forget that his Nexus was way later, but it's the Oracles. That's the big equalizer here. If it wasn't for these Oracles, this wouldn't be good enough for PartinG, but these Oracles are single-handedly making this a very successful attack, and he still keeps both of them alive. This is a wild but a really fun PvP up to this point.
Yeah, a couple of slow Zealots get warped in just to try and buffer for a little bit of damage absorption over here against these Stalkers. Neeb does have that blink that he can try to utilize, but PartinG is doing exactly the same. He's doing a great job. You can always expect pretty solid micro out of PartinG. Neeb not quite able to get any of these additional Stalkers, but it does seem like he's starting to push this back, maybe overcommitting a little bit as he starts to push a little too far forward.
Yeah, but he does have a couple of extra Zealots coming in, and a lot of the Stalkers of PartinG have taken a very serious beating. This fight is so close and so wild, but Neeb off the back of his +1 attack does stabilize, but the Oracles are back for seconds. How many kills on these bad boys? This is starting to get out of control.
This is a lot of damage for Neeb to have taken, and he is finally now down below the worker count of PartinG, and even that other damn Oracle is doing so much damage right now, Kev.
I think PartinG has probably killed a solid 30 40 almost.
40
almost
workers?
40 probes have gone down, but this game is still, I don't want to say that it's over, but it's obviously looking really good for PartinG at this point. A 13 worker advantage. He too is up to 3 bases. He too does have +1. So both players kind of working with the same tech right now. The only advantage that Neeb has is that Neeb does have charge finished up already, while PartinG's charge is only now fired up.
That is going to be a nice little advantage if you can find a way to utilize it, right? It's going to be great in the just Zealot versus Stalker fights. If the Stalkers have already used their blink, they can't really charge, or I guess retreat any further back. But how is Neeb going to be able to actually leverage that right now? He has been able to catch up in workers really quickly.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is, though. And he might actually be able to find this gateway and the 2 pylons. So that's a lovely little pickoff. And with a bit of luck, we may even find that Stalker too. I don't know if he saw the Oracle or not, but basically what charge gave him is the fact that PartinG couldn't attack anymore, because he's like, all right, you've got Zealots with charge, I do not. And PartinG was actually very worried about the counterattack. He's like, all right, I did so much damage, I'm sure you're about to all-in me, right? Well, he didn't, but he did invest a whole bunch in static defenses. So all of a sudden, this game is starting to stabilize as Neeb finally takes care of that pesky Oracle too. We've got a game on our hands, Fear Dragon. This is a lovely PvP between these two.
really, really nice trades where, kind of like you were saying, we end up in a position where it is kind of even. Their upgrades are not too far apart. We're starting to see the Robo thrown down for PartinG, and he should be able to start investing into things like the Warp Prism, getting up Immortals, starting up a Templar Archives as well. Wondering where Neeb is sitting on all of those, because right now he's just adding on additional gateways.
I think Neeb is just going to spam Zealots and Stalkers for a little bit. Obviously, right when I say that, he's dropping the Temple Archives. How many gases does Neeb have up and running? It's only 3 though, right? It's 2?
Oh, yeah. Wow. He has 1, I think, in the...
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's 3 gases. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so I guess if we're floating a little bit of gas, we can add in an Archon or 2. I don't hate it for Neeb all of a sudden. He's just done a better job in reading the situation that he was in. PartinG is like, I am so far ahead, the only thing I need to focus on is not dying. So he spends a whole bunch of money on static defenses, just sits at home, doesn't build any probes, and Neeb is like, well, it ain't pretty, but let's just try to make a game out of this. And he's chrono boosting 3 Nexi at a time, and all of a sudden, Neeb is the one with an economic advantage again. The only thing he needs to catch up in at this point is the Archon count. I don't really know why. Why is Neeb moving out? I'm so confused.
Okay, so here's a thought, is that Neeb knows he made a lot of Zealots very early on, and if there is a Templar Archives coming out, he may want to try to trade out these Zealots before the Archon count gets too high, but they're actually going to maybe meet each other in the center of the map. PartinG is the one that seems to actually notice the 2 armies starting to hit each other, and we see that a lot of those Zealots for Neeb start to charge on forward, but Neeb is actually going to maybe try to force an engagement. This might end up making him kind of in an awkward position. He's going to get sandwiched on.
Yeah, this is going to be a bit awkward. Neeb does have +2. +2 of PartinG is about to finish up. We obviously have a Prism in the mix. Forward Blink tries to take care of the Prism, but not before all the Zealots are warped in, so the Stalkers of PartinG are in a lot of trouble. It's still a very awkward fight, and obviously the fight on the left side is going disastrous for Neeb because of all the shield batteries.
And we start to see as those Zealots start to cleave on through all those Stalkers. PartinG gets a full cleanup and takes a pretty decent supply lead. Neeb is going to tap out, and PartinG takes the first game.
I gotta say, a bit of an awkward moment for Neeb to move out. Yes, he did have a lot of Zealots, and obviously you don't want to max out on like 28 Zealots. Zealots are great for run-bys, they're great to reinforce, but once we are entering the Archon phase of PvP, yeah, starting a fight with 28 or 30 Zealots is not ideal. It just felt a bit unnecessary to fight there because he was actually the one up to 4 bases way before PartinG.
Yeah.
He was getting his own Archons. I don't think Neeb had to lose the game there.
Well, Kev, I know that we're not feeling great about how that game necessarily went for Neeb, but, you know, I feel like it's really hard to make a judgment calls about why necessarily he moved out there without just hearing from the man himself, because I feel like this is maybe the time to actually go and get an interview with Neeb. Oh, sorry, Neeb is upside down. All right, so Kev, feel free to ask your questions to Neeb right here. He'll answer all of them.
Ravi, I was not prepared for this, and I have no idea what you want me to do with this super improv segment. I'm trying to break down a little PvP over here, and you're rolling out a life-size poster of Neeb.
Don't worry, Kev. I just wanted to make this better game and a better series for the rest of this. I'll go to game 3. See? There we go.
Memes aside, I do think it was a very fun PvP. It was pretty wild. It started off, I think, promising for Neeb. Then it felt that PartinG was absolutely taking the upper hand after killing 39 probes. But then Neeb did such a good job in just chrono boosting out probes non-stop, still trying to macro way his way out of the disadvantage he was in. And PartinG misread it a little bit, but then Neeb still kind of played into PartinG's hand by attacking into static defenses and yeah, kind of giving away the chance he had to still potentially win game 1.
Yeah, Kev, honestly, it's a little bit saddening because I feel like this is a little bit of a repeat of what I feel like we were seeing with the series versus Ragnarok, that it was happening in like the first round where Neeb is actually getting into pretty good positions, but then just capitalizing on them and actually closing things out. It seems like there's always just that one little step that kind of takes him out in the game and kind of puts him in a bad spot.
Both players did seem to be in very good spirits and on very friendly terms with each other, because we can obviously see a little bit of the pre-game chat. And Neeb said, please go easy on me, I'm just a sweet puppy bear. And I could actually see PartinG laughing out loud in his webcam. He was like rolling back in his chair. So these guys definitely do get along. But this man needs to get some W's if he wants to make it into the round of 12 of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. Top left side, hailing from America, representing Ting, it's Neeb.
And down here in the bottom right-hand side of the map, we have the red Protoss player. He is big boy PartinG.
I do feel the first game, in a way, kind of played out what we expected, right? PartinG is out there looking for damage, Neeb is trying to defend, and at first it feels like he was ready for everything, but I gotta give kudos and compliments to PartinG for keeping those oracles alive for as long as he did. Because if you take that much damage this early on, normally you're a little bit hesitant, right? You don't want to take too many risks with your oracles. Well, those oracles literally killed over 20 probes, if it wasn't 30 probes. So very well done by PartinG, keeping those alive and getting a lot of value out of them. Not immediately, but a little bit later.
Yeah, it's actually too funny too as well, because you think about like the very beginning of the game, we were complimenting how solid Neeb's defense was, how he was trading a single stalker for a bunch of damage on those oracles, but just not having the stalkers at the back line during the fights, which I mean is understandable, right? You're sitting there, you're like, all right, this is a big attack. He's very committed to this. I need everything for it. But well, just not even having a single stalker back inside the main to help deal with the oracles really ended up hurting him.
Yeah, absolutely. But I gotta say, that was all a bit wild, right? Because Neeb sends out 4 stalkers. And I do really like 4 stalkers going on a little adventure. I like to call them the 4 stalker hit squad. 4 is the magic number to one-shot probes. So if you can hallucinate a Phoenix and blink into the main base, you can maybe pick off a couple of probes and potentially even recall those stalkers out. Basically, Neeb is like, okay, I don't see a third base here. Let's see the naturals. Like, oh, it's empty. And while you're killing probes, you're like, this is good. You're like, wait a minute. This means he attacks me. And then we look at Neeb's side of the map and PartinG is like, here we go. And he just blinks right on top of Neeb's army. So I can understand that Neeb was like a little bit caught off guard, right? Because that all happened so quick.
Absolutely. I feel like that is the nature of PvP, right? And I think maybe a lot of the mirror matchups or all the mirror matchups are kind of like that, where there are these little things that you just have to pick up on immediately because things happen so fast. Advantages get created so quickly in PvP.
Like, I think Neeb's defense against PartinG's attack would have been 10 times better if he had another second, literally 1 or 2 seconds to be like, wait a minute, your units aren't here, I'm killing probes, you're gonna attack me. He gets all of his units together because now PartinG basically blinked on top of 30 to 40% of his army. TLDR, pretty fun and interesting first game, but let's take a look what the Romanticide has in store for us. As PartinG is once again playing Stargate, and Neeb is once again opening up with a Twilight and Stalker, Sentry, correct?
Yeah, I think he should have. If he has 2 Stalkers, 2 Sentries, it's exactly the same kind of opening as last game. There's one sentry out.
I don't hate it. Still gonna give him a good scout, and Neeb will get the heads up that PartinG is once again going for the Stargate, and can obviously see that that is an Oracle being produced as well. Is this a Dark Shrine? This seems like a Dark Shrine kind of pylon to me.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to proxy Stargate or something up in the corner over there. I feel like it'd be further away than anything else. But yeah, Dark Shrine going to be coming out over here. And this is something that Stargate, yes, the Oracles can Revelation a DT. But if you have 2 DTs, or heck, even if the Oracles are running around trying to harass instead of actually, you know, attacking, or sorry, keeping energy for Revelation, those DTs can get a lot of damage done versus a Stargate opening.
Yep, obviously this does mean that Neeb has a few units less than he normally does, because he's investing in Blink, he's investing in a Dark Shrine. It is important that he doesn't take too much damage here. I wonder if PartinG can figure out that something is up. Well, he's gonna see 3 Stalkers here. All of this looks very normal to PartinG, who does find his first probe. And in a way, this is good, actually. This is really good for Neeb, guys, because that Oracle just activated Pulsar Beam, which costs a lot of energy, and dropped the Revelation, which also costs a lot of energy.
Yeah, Force Field comes out to prevent these Adepts from running further back. He's going to be losing a few of his workers. I actually think PartinG's probably okay with trading 2 Adepts for 4 probes for now, but it is going to be about the fact that those 2 Oracles are still dancing around and maybe going to use a lot of energy right as the first DT gets warped in.
I actually think they will, because if I'm PartinG, I fly in the main base, I see 2 Stalkers, he might drop another Revelation, and it activates Pulsar Beam. This is massive for Neeb, guys. This is absolutely massive. PartinG has no Robo, no Forge at home, and the first invisible men are walking towards the natural of PartinG. I don't know how PartinG is going to salvage this, but he's going to take a lot of damage, and this could very well be the game ending as he's thinking about his own Dark Shrine. But Ravi, I feel PartinG is seconds away from
he sees it.
Yeah, he sees it. He can keep maybe 1 out, but he's gonna take so much damage.
Ooh, Really, really nicely done. He actually gets stalkers on both sides. He revelations and misses. He only gets 1 DT now because he had 2 revelations, but by missing one DT gets away scot-free.
He whiffed a revelation in the natural?
He went on the mineral line, and then he missed the DT because it had already darted up north to evade the wall end of the stalkers, and then he had to throw another revelation down on the ramp. I think that's what I just saw.
I'm not sure. Like, I'd be surprised if I did see a revelation go down, but I'm pretty sure that he just tried to catch both DTs in one revelation, but he only caught the one that he force fielded in. I mean, it was a bit hard to see.
Yeah.
TLDR is, I gotta say, PartinG did a really, really good job there, guys, by moving his stalkers next to the gateway, preventing the Dark Templar from entering the main base. Because if that DT would have entered the main base, this game is over. You can just wrap it up. PartinG would probably leave. Now he took damage, but I would say he's still absolutely in it. And obviously he still has his oracles alive too to potentially deal a little bit of damage. And now it's PartinG's turn to maybe find some damage with DTs.
Yeah, the Robo is about to finish up, and there was also a Forge made
Observer.
just in case he needs something, but
Neeb.
it's going to be the first unit out. It is an Observer.
Yeah, I don't know if he has a Chrono Boost. That's a lot of DTs. Can the Dark Templars make their way into the main base? Yes, they can. Oh my goodness, this is going to hurt so bad for Neeb too.
Okay, he sees it immediately, is going to start pulling his workers away from the third. Now sees that they're going to be actually in the main base as well. 11 workers already falling and probably can still be losing a few more.
Yeah, PartinG is so brutal, man. Like, some people would wipe in 1 Dark Templar and see if they can find damage. PartinG just wipes in 4 Dark Templars and splits them over every single mineral line, and he's finding a tremendous amount of damage.
Wow.
Puts it into an Archon, wants to recall, I guess, or maybe just wants to buy time for his other DT. I don't know what that was about, but that's a lot of work to kill. 16, PartinG killing quite a bit more than Neeb did.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be really, really tough. Neeb now sitting down about 9-10 workers over here. He's going to be making 3 at a time and starting to play a bit of catch up here, but his charge and +1 weapons are at least finishing up. So Neeb at least does have a little bit of a window where he knows, okay, you're probably not coming in to attack me or anything. How can I maybe cut some corners and play some catch up here?
It's so brutal, right? Because Neeb is a very calculated Protoss and doesn't want to take too many risks. But if he would have warped in 3 Dark Templars himself, he would have probably just killed one of those Stalkers that was trying to prevent DTs from entering the main. He could have left 1 DT in the natural, 2 Dark Templars going into the main. If Neeb would have done the same play as PartinG just did, this game would be over. Instead, it's PartinG willing to take a little more risk and going heavier on the Dark Templar investment, and he just gets paid out in a big way.
Yeah, I even just saw on the camera Neeb actually muttering to himself, which is usually never a good sign when you're playing a game of StarCraft. But, well, Neeb's going to try and take that forward 4th base a little bit earlier on than PartinG, only just a little bit earlier. And we'll see if he's going to be able to hold against anything that PartinG decides to throw out at him, because I think PartinG actually has a decent-sized army. Well, I guess Neeb's actually leading up an army supply right now.
I do think with the amount of damage that PartinG did, he should be in a pretty good spot. But obviously, attacking is hard in PvP, especially attacking into batteries. Like the final fight in the previous game, most of the focus was at the fight near the ramp, but there was quite a bit of Neeb's army supply caught up on the left side, and those 10 Zealots couldn't win the fight against 2 Zealots near shield batteries and battery overcharge. So that's why you have to be really careful if you want to attack in PvP with Archon Zealot, because static defenses rule absolutely everything.
Yeah. Well, it looks like Neeb is actually, he's kind of on the hunt on the top right-hand side for any potential proxies or anything, which I do like. Funny enough, his own proxy is still just sitting up there in the top right-hand side, which would be very annoying if PartinG found that and started whittling away at it. But DT is going to move back in, just looking for some of the free damage while Neeb gets up. Wait. Oh, Templar Archives, because yeah, his Archons are coming from DTs, right? Never mind. Did double-tick moments for there.
I mean, PartinG is starting to move out. These armies are getting awfully close to each other. This Nexus is a little bit exposed. What is happening here? I mean, Archon count seems alright on the side of Neeb. I mean, 2 Archons. I wouldn't mind taking that fight. Neeb has another Archon showing up, a couple of extra Zealots, and this could very well be a doable fight. But obviously, PartinG's got reinforcements coming in too from the left side, where he still has the pylon and the gateway.
Yeah, this angle is really awkward for Neeb. He's just going to end up losing the 4th base at this point, and yeah, it goes down. Remember, PartinG has his own 4th base in the meanwhile. Sniping off an Oracle is definitely nice over here for Neeb, but that 4th base really hurts to lose.
Yeah, it does hurt to lose, but I guess it's better than losing the game. And he still has enough income to potentially max out. But obviously, if I'm parting now, I'd be completely okay with just kind of going back and then maybe whopping in an extra cannon or an extra battery and then even add a Robo Bay. I mean, the world is PartinG's oyster at this point, but it seems like they want to fight as Neeb did still walk into a stasis trap. But I gotta say, with the War Prism here, it's maybe not that bad of a fight, but PartinG says no as he picks up the Prism, and now it becomes a very bad fight for Neeb.
Yeah, Archon's just going to get surrounded because even as Neeb blinks his Stalkers out of the fight, we're going to end up seeing so many units for Neeb have no escape path whatsoever. One by one, Neeb's army falls down, and PartinG looking better and better in this game. GG, a 2-0 goes to PartinG.